Logan Paul and KSI, two YouTubers with massive followings, built what seemed like an unstoppable empire. They introduced Prime, a flashy colored drink aimed at teenagers, and in no time it became a billion-dollar sensation. But now, that empire is crumbling faster than Logan Paul's reputation after that forest incident. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Prime didn't fall because of lawsuits, health concerns, or even the caffeine controversy. No, it collapsed because these two influencers believed they could outsmart the very laws of business itself. Let's rewind to 2022. Logan and KSI were riding high, fueled by controversy and drama. They had mastered the art of getting teenagers to argue over anything with their faces on it. So naturally, they looked at the beverage industry, the massive market that's been dominated by companies with decades of experience and billions of dollars for research, and thought, yeah, we can do better. And that confidence? It was audacious. Think about it. Gatorade was created by scientists who understood the science of hydration and athletic performance. Red Bull, with its iconic energy drink, spent years building a brand and perfecting their formula. Then came Prime, a drink that was essentially just Gatorade's flashy cousin with Logan and KSI's faces slapped on the bottle. They weren't selling better hydration. They were selling access to their fan club, one overpriced sip at a time. At first, it worked. Those neon bottles weren't designed for athletes or hydration enthusiasts. They were designed to be Instagram props, TikTok accessories, and flex items for the playground. The packaging screamed, "Look at me!" louder than Logan Paul at a press conference. And kids, they bought into it. Not because it was better, but because Logan and KSI told them it was cool. And teenagers, they'll fight over anything if you market it the right way. The artificial scarcity? Pure genius and pure manipulation. Limited drops that sold out in minutes, restocks timed with their content, and exclusive flavors that made kids feel special. They turned hydration into hypebeast culture. Parents were driving across town just to get their hands on a single bottle. Resellers were flipping Prime for $50 each. 50 for pure disappointment. But here's where things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean absolutely predictable. While Logan and KSI were busy counting their money, patting themselves on the back for disrupting the beverage industry, they made all the classic mistakes that eventually destroy overhyped brands. Mistake number 1. Thinking celebrity could replace quality. Early reviews from non-fans were brutal. Some described it as cotton candy cough syrup, while others compared it to Splenda water with commitment issues. When your product tastes like regret, no influencer marketing can save you in the long run. Mistake number 2, getting greedy and dangerous. Enter Prime Energy, same flashy branding, but now with 200 milliamount of caffeine, the equivalent of 2 Red. Bulls targeted at the same kids who loved the original, Prime. They were literally giving teenagers a legal speedball and hoping no one would notice. Spoiler, everyone noticed. Schools banned it. Parents were furious, and health experts were sounding alarms. Logan Paul had to go on his podcast claiming it was for adults, while his brand was clearly marketed toward kids. The cognitive dissonance was unreal. Mistake number 3. They violated the most fundamental law of business, sustainability. You can't build a lasting brand on borrowed credibility and manufactured hype. Prime never created its own category. It tried to muscle into one already owned by industry giants like Gatorade and Red Bull. They were like David fighting Goliath. Except David forgot his slingshot and just showed up with a megaphone, and then the lawsuits started rolling in. Class actions alleged dangerous chemicals, the forever chemicals that stick around longer than Logan's apologies. There were deceptive advertising claims. Apparently, calling something zero-toxin hydration while it's filled with questionable ingredients doesn't sit well with lawyers. The worst of it all? A 14-year-old ended up in urgent care with heart palpitations after drinking 2 cans of Prime Energy. But the real blow came from Prime's own bottling partner, Refreshco. They'd invested millions in a facility for Prime's custom bottles, expecting massive orders. Instead, sales stalled, and Prime couldn't keep up with the volumes they'd committed to. They owed $68 million. Logan's emails leaked, showing him desperately trying to pivot to international markets to save face, and that's when it all started to unravel. The investors who had been flocking to meetings in 2022 suddenly nowhere to be found. The dream was collapsing, but Logan and KSI were still posting about their revolutionary drink while their empire crumbled around them. Numbers don't lie. UK sales dropped 70% in 2024, and profits plummeted by over 90%. Some retailers reported a shocking 92% drop in weekly sales. Those Target 12-packs that once sold for 25s. Now they were being marked down to $9, and they still weren't moving. Meanwhile, actual beverage companies like Monster and Celsius were quietly swooping in, offering better drinks for less money. Gatorade didn't even acknowledge Prime's existence, because when you own a category, you don't need to respond to wannabe brands. Time has a way of eliminating the pretenders. Even Senator Chuck Schumer weighed in, calling out the product for being marketed like Gatorade, but packing the punch of a double espresso. Prime was being treated like an age-restricted product, with cashiers carding anyone who looked under 25. Prime had gone from a cultural phenomenon to a public health concern in record time. But the most damning evidence wasn't in courtrooms or sales reports, it was on social media. The same TikTokers who once fought over Prime were now posting videos showing bottles collecting dust in their fridges. Amazon reviews for their grape flavor were sitting at a dismal 2.7 stars, with titles like Chemical Aftertaste and Existential Dread. So, what actually killed Prime wasn't the lawsuits or bad press. Those were just the symptoms. The real culprit? A deadly mix of arrogance, artificial flavoring, and the delusion that influence equals expertise. Logan and KSI thought they could out-hype the fundamentals of business. But the truth is, you can't build a lasting brand on borrowed credibility and manufactured moments. They promised elite hydration, but delivered intensely flavored disappointment. They aggressively marketed to teenagers, only to sell them adult-level stimulants. They signed massive supply deals based on hype-driven forecasts, then couldn't deliver when reality hit. And instead of reformulating or apologizing, they blamed the haters and dismissed the concerns. Prime's rise and fall is a masterclass in what not to do when building a business. Hype might get you the first purchase, but it's substance that earns the second. If your customers don't genuinely like your product, they won't come back, no matter how many followers you have. And if your marketing oversells what your product underdelivers, lawyers will turn your own claims into ammunition. The real lesson here goes beyond beverages or influencer marketing. It's about the difference between viral success and sustainable business. Logan and KSI confused noise for strategy, momentum for foundation, and celebrity for credibility. They built their empire on quicksand and acted surprised when it sank. Prime was supposed to prove that influencers could dominate any industry. Instead, it proved that the fundamentals matter more than followers. But sometimes watching karma catch up to those who think they're untouchable, that's the most refreshing drink of all. Let me know your thoughts on Prime in the comments below, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.